welcome Mr. Jim Stafford.
Hey, Jason. Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
You as well, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Have a seat. Turn his mic on for him. Hang on, I'll trade you. Let me use. We're gonna get you one that works. Try it again, sir.
Hello.
There it is. There it is. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Well, it's just a pleasure to be here with you, and it's nice to see you folks, too. I'm glad to be here with you. That's the truth.
By round of applause in the audience, how many of you got to see Mr. Stafford last night in the show?
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And who's looking forward to his show tonight? Where's my orange one? All right. All right.
Me too.
What's it like performing on the Country Music Cruise?
Well,
Speechless. He's absolutely speechless at this crowd.
in the first place, I thought we were all dead. And it's and it's a pleasure to see all of these tremendous performers and so many heroes. I know they're heroes to you, they're heroes to me, it's absolutely astonishing at the number of very high quality, talented, wonderful country singers and performers that are on this ship.
All on one little ship, right? All squeezed into one little place. And we added one today. Mickey Gilley got on board today. So we added one into the mix. He is here. I heard some rumors that he wasn't coming. Not to worry, everybody. Mr. Gilley.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, he had a pretty nasty accident a few weeks ago.
He did, in the quote, not to steal from your interview, but we got an email the day it happened from Mickey and his management, and they said, "Don't cancel us. We're coming. We're coming. Don't cancel us."
Oh,
so he was not dreaming of missing this, probably for the reason that you're talking about. There's so much great talent on board. It's so much fun. And it's got to be, I mean, I know you perform in Branson. Obviously, you've been at the Jim Stafford Theater for, 28 years
This
now?
is my 28th season coming up.
28th season.
Yes.
And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, folks. Boy, it's been a lot of fun, I got to tell you.
That's pretty amazing, but there's got to be something unique, and I like to ask this of our entertainers. There's something unique about getting on stage on a cruise ship and then getting up and going to breakfast with the same folks that saw you the night before. You know, you don't go home. They don't go home. We all stay here.
Yeah. Captive audience, if there ever was one. Yes. Well, that's a lot of fun to me, though. And one of the great things on this cruise for me is to have the opportunity to see people and visit with them and all of that. You don't always get to do that. And and Branson, they all come in, they all leave, and maybe you get to see them on the intermission or after the show and all. Sure. But they got other things to do, but here on the cruise, you really get to know some people.
Entertainment and food. That's why they're here. That's the two reasons that folks are coming.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here too.
That's why I'm here, including
us in that, sir.
Exactly.
Now, at what age did you realize you wanted to do this? How did it come to be?
I had a friend named Louis Wayne Simmons. He lived across the street from me in a little town called Eloise. I'm from Florida, and I was born in Eloise. Now, Eloise is adjacent to Winter Haven and about a mile from Lake Eloise, that's where Cypress Gardens is. And so that's where I was born. And, very simple little place. We had clay roads, and there was no way the only way you could reach anybody was the P.O. box back in those days. And so it was very simple living back then, but we didn't know that. And the kid across the street, his brother came home from Germany with a guitar. My dad had a guitar, so I got my dad's guitar. He got his brother's guitar, and that's what got me interested in trying to figure out how to play.
How old were you at that point?
12.
12, okay.
Yeah, 12 years old. And I have to tell you, I fell in love with the guitar then, and I'm just as much in love with it right now as I was then. I don't even know how to explain it. I just love the guitar. I love it, and I've been lucky enough to be around the great Roy Clark, and I was pretty good friends with Chet Atkins, which is absolutely thrilling.
Not
and
a bad
also,
friend to have.
I must say, and then when Glenn Campbell's a good friend. Matter of fact, when he did his world tour, he started it in Branson and stayed out at the house, and it was really wonderful to have gotten to spend that time with Glenn.
That's kind of a fun and unique thing to say. Honey, Glenn Campbell's coming over for the night.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was wonderful.
Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Now, I read somewhere, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're self-taught also. Is that true? You're self-taught in about 57 different instruments, it looks like.
Well, not quite like that, but yes, I am. However, every time you see somebody do a lick, like even here on the chip, you say, "Ooh, I like that lick. Maybe I could do that." So I feel like that if you're serious about your playing,
Sure.
you're sort of taking lessons every day. You just see
Sure.
people play, you get ideas, and there's something very comforting. Those of you who play a guitar, you probably know this, but you wrap your arms around a guitar, and Segovia, the great guitar player, said, "I don't hold my guitar. I embrace my guitar." Of course, Segovia was a lonely man,
Yeah.
but
His guitar wasn't.
but his guitar was his friend. Yes, that's true, actually.
Yeah. So guitar, fiddle, piano, banjo, organ, harmonica. What else do you play? Do you play other instruments? I feel like I just named.
Well, I can get around on some other instruments, but the guitar's the thing, really.
Sure.
I kind of know some keyboard stuff and this and that. Along the way you pick stuff up, but the guitar's the thing. I'm crazy about the guitar. When I was a kid, all the other kids were out playing football, and I might as well stand for this. And I didn't practice football. I practiced the guitar, and I can tell you now it paid off. I can kick my guitar 40 yards. Well, anyhow, but by the way, that I stole that from Jack Benny, who said it about kicking his fiddle.
His fiddle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man.
It works, though. It's still funny.
Oh, my goodness, Jack Benny.
Now, you pick up the guitar when you're 12. When do you realize, and this is a very straightforward, almost awkward question. When do you realize you're funny? When do you realize that you want to act, you want to do comedy? When do you realize that is in your future as well?
Well, I think myself and a number of you were raised with just wonderful comedians in our lives, wonderful comedians. Sid Caesar, George Gobel, Milton Berle, all of those great comedians were there doing their material, and just, and I was captivated as a kid. I just couldn't believe how much fun these people were. And to this day, I think one of the things that I'm sure that you and I and all of us have in common is that you never stop being a fan. That's what keeps you going.
Sure.
I'm thrilled with it. When I see the performers on this ship, it's like, it just takes my breath away. And I'm a performer, and I've been a performer since I was 12 years old. But I'm a fan, and sure. I think that really helps a lot. That just loving it.
Without question, I can see that. I feel like we can do this a lot, and we're gonna have a little fun. I want to go to the break first, and we'll come back out of this break, and we'll delve a little bit into the acting phase. Don't go anywhere, my friends. Don't turn the channel. I'll be back in a moment with more with Mr. Jim Stafford. Hello, my friends. Thanks for not going away. Your cruise host, Jason, here, back with more All Access Pass. And today I have the fabulous Mr. Jim Stafford. Thank you again for taking your time to be here, sir.
I'm very happy to be here.
We left there talking a little bit about acting, comedy, and being a fan. Around 1975, you were on ABC, if I'm not mistaken, with the Jim Stafford Show.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And it was really a summer series. We did 6 one-hour shows, and that was really kind of my first taste of that. And then as time passed, I began to do other shows, and The Tonight Show, and Merv, and Dinah, and Mike Douglas.
You got some Smothers Brothers in there.
Yeah, the Smothers Brothers. That was we did a lot of work together in Las Vegas, and as a matter of fact, we did most of our work was with Joan Rivers. She wanted 2 opening acts because she had been an opening act her whole life, and all of a sudden she was going to have to do an hour instead of half an hour. And so she said, "Well, I'm going to have 2 opening acts so I can take the pressure off."
So she still only had to do half an hour as a headline. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what was funny is she'd just get out there and stay. I don't know what was her problem.
Yeah.
I think she was just a little antsy, a little uncomfortable. But once she got out there was so much love coming at her, that she just had a blast with it every single night. Very funny.
And she's very funny. Now being on a ship, does it take you back to your episode of The Love Boat?
Oh, gosh.
I do my homework, friends. I do my homework.
Well, Okay. Not only was I on Love Boat,
Yes, sir.
but I was somebody's fantasy on Fantasy Island. Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at him. That's a sex symbol right there, friends.
That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And Love Boat, you know, and I know there's no boat.
Yeah, exactly.
There's sets, you know, and pretty some sets that they had were pretty extensive. They had, you know, the whole outside of the thing with the pool and the whole deal, you know. That was all a set. And that was amazing. Although I hear that occasionally they would really go out on a real boat and do some episodes. All of mine were on the sets.
Yeah, there is actually a boat out there, and every now and then you'll see it. It's still out there. Matter of fact, interesting enough, you'll be in port with it every now and then. So as you're acting and as you're singing and you're performing and you're starting to write your songs, and you have your first big hit with the Swamp Witch.
Yes. Yes. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As I mentioned this in the show as well. I've always loved scary stuff as a kid, and I say in my show that remember when we used to watch the radio, and people know exactly what I'm talking about. We used to sit there and watch that radio, and I give this example in the show. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Who can finish it? See? The shadow knows. My whole family would hear that and would make this sound. Ooh. Isn't that a wonderful sound? We'd make that sound.
Make everybody do it together.
Ooh. We'd all do it. Everybody except Grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma just take her teeth out and scare us all to death. But that's another story. But that was the old days, you know, and I was caught up in that, and I was raised in Central Florida around swampland, and I spent a lot of time around the swamps, and so I knew, and there was a lady had a little shack across the street from me, and her name was Hattie, and so I kind of put the swamp and the Hattie and the shack together, and so I wrote this thing as a talking song. And I'm in Clearwater, Florida, at the Hilton, where, by the way, I got a quick story about that, about the Gallagher at that Hilton. And so, anyhow, I had a friend. I was. Let me backtrack a little bit. When I was in high school in Winter Haven, Florida, I had a band. And in that band, one of the guys in the band was a fellow named Graham Parsons. And yes, he was in the band. And now, if you don't know who Graham was, I could tell you very quickly. He joined a group called the Byrds and talked. Remember Mr. Tambourine Man? And he talked to men to recording a country album, a rock and roll band recording a country album. It just hadn't been done before. And I believe that ushered in other groups like Poco and Eagles and all that kind of stuff. And Graham had a big influence on American music. Graham Parsons. Another guy in the band was named Kent Lavoie. Now, I'll bet you don't know who that is. But he records under the name of Lobo. And he had that huge record called Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. And if I'm not mistaken, Stonewall Jackson covered that country. Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. And he was in the band with me. And so, we were in it together. And so, it's this hard to believe, but he came by this little place that I was playing. It was called the Shack Upon the Beach. And if you don't say it right, it sounds like the Shack Up on the Beach. But it was the Shack Upon the Beach. And he came by and said this to me. You got any songs? My producer says I ought to produce somebody. And I about a week before, I had written The Swamp Witch. I played it for him. He liked it. We recorded it, and it got into the top 40.
Got into the top 40.
39. That counts. That counts. Just barely in.
Listen, top 40's top 40. No point in dictating where. Or don't.
That's right. It's top 40
top
record.
40 is all that matters.
Yes, and that set the stage for the next song.
Spiders and Snakes.
Yeah. You want me to talk about that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spiders and Snakes came next.
Yeah. Okay, I'm playing at Smitty's Steakhouse in Venice, Florida. And I'm staying at the 40 Winks Motel. And a guy knocks
You
on
can't
my
make this up, by the way.
No,
You-
this
you
is the truth.
Yeah.
And so a guy comes by, knocks on the door, comes by, open the door, and he's standing there with a reel-to-reel recorder. And so he says, son, I got a song for you. It's going to be a great giant hit. It's going to be a big song, and everybody in the world, they're going to all know your name. And I said, well, play the thing. So we put it on and play it. It opened like this. I lived a long time ago. Don't ask me how I know I lived then. I just did. You ever hear that before? No, me neither. He was wrong. Now, but there's more. There's more. Okay, so we...
You ever heard it? No, either did I. He was wrong. Moving on.
He was wrong. But here's the thing. Now we go to the chorus. And so now the guy sings the chorus. And that's how the song opened. I lived a long time ago. I don't know how. I just did. So anyhow, the chorus went like this. I don't like spiders and snakes, and that ain't what it takes to love me. And he did it. It was a little bit like the Beatles. It's like, love me. And then, come on, love me. I don't like spiders and snakes. That ain't what it takes to love me. Come on, love me. Well, I knew that much. I don't like spiders and snakes. That ain't what it takes to love me. I can't tell you why, but I said, golly, that sounds like a hit record. And so, and by the way, that guy's name was David Bellamy of the Bellamy Brothers.
The Bellamy Brothers.
He wasn't the guy that knocked on the door, but he was the guy that wrote the song. And so I took that thing home, and I said, just this much is, I don't like spiders and snakes. Hey, what it takes to love me? That much was just unbelievable to me. That was a hit snippet.
It's funny how that happens, right?
Yeah,
you hear it and you can hear it.
Yeah, I couldn't get it out of my brain, and so I worked on this thing for 3 months, every day, and I figured out this little because I wanted to start off kind of sassy, you know, and then I concluded the verses like I want to be loved by you, and so on and so forth, and we went to a little studio in Spring Street, and in Atlanta, cut that thing. Put it out, and it sold 2.5 million copies. 2.5 million copies, and may I say this, it did not get to number 1, and it did not get to number 2, and it should have, but it didn't. Now, here's why it didn't.
But it did get to number 3.
It got to number 3. Well, I don't mind that it didn't get to number 1, and I'll tell you why. Because I got to stand for this, because number 1 was The Way We Were, Barbra Streisand. What a song. What a song. I'm okay with that. However, number 2, we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. I could have killed those guys.
It's a perfect way to take us in a break. There's no better painkiller than comedy, is there? Do not go anywhere, my friends. We'll be back with one more segment with Mr. Jim Stafford. Thanks for coming back. Your cruise host, Jason, here with your last segment of All Access Pass here with Mr. Jim Stafford. Thank you for taking your time to be here once again.
Thank you.
Now, we left on the break there. You said you had a great story about Gallagher. I'm not letting you off the hook.
Okay.
Please share.
All right. You know the crazy guy would smash his watermelons?
Used to smash the watermelons
Right.
with a sledgehammer and
Right.
tarps in the front row.
That's him. And so before he had any success at all, he had seen one of my shows down in Clearwater. I think he's a Lakeland fellow originally, down in Lakeland, Florida. Anyhow, I get a phone call from the lobby of the hotel, and he says, hello, my name is Leo Gallagher, and I want to come up and be your roadie. I said, I'm working here every day. I'm not on the road. I'm in a room. And so he said, I'll be your roomie. And I said, no, I'm
Don't need that either.
No, I'm here with my lady friend. That won't work. So he says, well, can I come up? I got a great bit for you. I want you to see it. And I said, oh, sure, you can come up. And so I answered the door, and there is crazy Gallagher. You've seen him.
You remember what he looks like, right? He has the bald on top, the long hair, the big, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of a wacky-looking guy, but actually a brilliant man. He's really quite a smart fella. And he told me one time, he says, you know, I had 6 years at college. I said, why is that? He said, it was a long war. But that's what he said. But anyhow, so I opened the door, and there's a guy. This is Gallagher. First time I ever saw him, and he's got a ironing board on, and it's a place cut for his face. So he's standing there with an ironing board on, and he says, "How you like this?" And I said, "Oh, it's just great."
Slam.
Right. Yeah. But I have. What do you want me to do about it? He says, "Well, I just wanted you to see that I may not be your roadie, but I can write. I'm a writer." And I said, "Is this something you wrote? You know, what's the writing?" And so he says, No, I haven't got all the parts to this down yet." The ironing board with his face sticking out. He says, "But I've got a great ending." And I said, "Really? What's your ending?" He said, "Well, it's a bow." So he does like this. Twists it this way and gets under it like that. And so he looks like a human ironing board. It goes right across the top, and there's a guy under there. So he had an opening, which was kind of crazy, and a closer, which is kind of weird, but no middle.
The middle takes care of itself, right?
There was no middle, and there never was a middle, really. He never did figure that one out. But he was a wonderful friend, and he helped me many, many times and traveled with me. He was my roadie for 3 years. I moved out to L.A. when the record started hitting, and he lived in the basement and built
That's awesome.
Crazy stuff. Yeah. And as you know, what's funny about Gallagher to me is, I mean, he's a wonderful comedian, but his act didn't work for quite a while, and it made him really aggressive, and that's what worked for him, you know. That's what made him fun, is he gets right in your face and just goes for it, you know.
Smashes things.
Yeah, watermelons. But he started with apples. He had a pan. He said, "Put them in the patented pan and whack it like that." And you would say, well, "That's entertainment?" Okay, good.
Then he had a TV show. So yeah, he did.
I think he did 13 specials for Showtime. And you may remember about Showtime and HBO. When those first hit, friends, you either got one or the other. If you were in Dallas, and Dallas had Showtime, and you were or somebody else was in Houston and they had HBO, they're not going to see your Showtime show, and you're not going to see their HBO show. Yeah. That went on for a while.
Well, as I explained to you in the back, and as the audience knows, I like to break the fourth wall here between us and the crowd, and I like to open up, and we allow questions from the audience. When you come in, my lovely wife is wandering around. She has questions. You have an opportunity to write your question down. We got a couple of you out here, and if you don't mind, sir, I'd love to jump into some of these audience questions.
Don't mind a bit.
Elizabeth from Arizona is taking this very seriously. She's by the bar, I believe, judging by that laugh. She said, "Jim, if you had a choice, would you rather have X-ray vision or be able to read minds?"
Well, it's nice to read minds, but you can read a lot of stuff if you have X-ray vision.
Fair enough. Donna, all the way from Kansas, said, "We love your family. What is your son doing now? Saw him last in Branson? ? I don't know if she's asking you if you saw him in Branson or if she saw him in Branson, but
right.
Loved your shows, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's my boy Shay, and Shay, and he's in the show. He plays piano, and he plays a very like Liberace kind of.
Is he on board?
Big numbers. No.
Oh, you left.
No, he's not. He's not. He's back in.
Okay.
He's back there in Branson, waiting for me, and he's going to be in the show this year.
Got it.
And he was raised in the theater, so was Gigi, and I mentioned in my show that I have two children about to go into their 20s, and so I've been looking for a. I just went blank. I'll think of it in a minute.
Moving right along. Most people go blank when their children enter their 20s.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
I've been looking for a nursing home near a good college.
The best punchlines have a pause. Pregnant pause, as you call it, a pregnant pause.
Yeah, or just go completely blank. That's what I do.
Listen, you can blame it on anything you want.
Yes, I'll go with being blank.
Richard, all the way from Boston, says, "I've enjoyed your show many, many times in Branson. With many headliners no longer in town, what do you see as the next phase for Branson?
You know, that's a really good question. As you can imagine, in Branson, you go to work in a theater as if you were going to work in a regular job. Everything's all set and ready. There's no sound checks. There's no anything. You just step in and you start playing, and people love that. You get used to it, you know. And we have had, you know, we lost Andy Williams. He was there for years and years, and Wayne Newton was there for a pretty good while. Tony Orlando was there for a while, and we still have, you know, lots of fine acts. And I think that the job in Branson is to work hard and have the best show you can possibly have, you know, and give the people something to come and see. Like I said, I'm in my 28th year there, and I love and adore that town, and the people that come there come to see shows, and most of the people are going to see a bunch of shows, and that's really that's the kind of fans that's very special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's great to have a destination like that. You know, Vegas is what Vegas is, but Branson is still unique in so many ways because it's not the big glitz and glamour of Vegas. It's not the big multi-billion-dollar productions, and
everybody's very accessible in Branson.
Exactly.
Very accessible in Branson. We love to get to know people.
Next question. The first part of it is, how is Bobby?
You're talking about Bobby Gentry, aren't you?
I'm guessing.
Yes. Bobby Gentry. Well, they owed the Billy Joe lady. We're married. We have a boy. We were married, and while we were married, we had a boy, and he's doing very well, and so is she. And she's a very private person, and I appreciate and respect that. I can tell you a couple of things. So she never did tell me what they threw off the bridge. I have no idea. But every now and then, when we would have an argument, I was beginning to think I figured out why he jumped. but the truth is, she's a wonderful woman.
Sure.
I respect her and her privacy in every way, and also one of the great talents that I've ever seen anywhere, and I mean anywhere. And I will mention this because I think it's so fascinating about her. As you know, she's a brilliant writer, and songs like "Ode to Billy Joe." There were times in certain songs that she would actually write the story, write it as a story, and then find the song inside the story, and that's pretty clever. That's smart writing.
It's impressive.
And and you know, she's an extraordinary woman.
Well, I think we can all applaud you for respecting her privacy. We get that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Goes on. Are you married now? And more importantly, do you still drive at night?
Now I've heard that's why people are getting married these days. They find somebody that can drive at night.
Yep. Wanda's celebrating her 88th birthday on this cruise. Beautiful Wanda, right over there.
Hey, Wanda.
Gorgeous young lady. So if you still drive at night, you got a shot with Wanda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Wanda, I have to tell you that I am engaged.
Oh, very cool. Congratulations.
I fell in love with a bass player, and matter of fact, she's here probably. I think she's here. Oh,
right there.
Stand up, honey, if you would. That's Kelly Black, ladies and gentlemen. Kelly Black, and.
Did you hear the collective? When you said I fell in love with a bass player, everyone went,
really?
Really? Stand up, honey. She stood up. Oh, bless you. Beautiful.
Yes, and Kelly this last year did a show with the very first act to ever perform in Branson, and they're still there, still playing, and they still have a tremendous show. And some of you guys have heard of them, the Ball Knobbers. The Ball Knobbers. Now, I want to tell you something. I go back a ways, And I knew the ball knobbers back when they were the hairy knobbers. And anyhow.
He's here the rest of the week, guys. He's here the rest of the week.
That's right. That's right.
RC from Branson says, "Who is Ed?"
Well, Ed was a guy. Ed was a plant. You know, a plant where you put somebody out there who's going to yell something that you need.
They thought he was really a plant.
Yell.
People out here are going, a plant?
A plant.
Not a tree. Like
it sounds like, he sounds like a potted guy or something. But
that could mean something else too.
But all through show business, you know, there sometimes you'll need somebody to kind of yell something up that'll trigger, and sometimes it's an accident, and you go, boy, that was great. Maybe we can recreate that. You know, that'll happen occasionally, and so Ed was like that, and then somebody would say, I'd say, Ed, and he'd say, yeah, and I'd say, that's special, and then somebody would say, special Ed. And then, so Ed became a thing all the way through the show. And at the end of the show, my boy, when he was just a little bitty guy, could really play the drums, you know. And at the end of his drum solo, a big sign would come down right over his head that said Ed, flashing. And so I don't know why people would have thought that wasn't we didn't build that sign during the show. But that was Ed. That's the Ed thing in the show. Years ago. That was a while back.
They never clicked in that there wasn't a carpenter above going, Ed, how many light bulbs
come on,
do I
Ed.
need to spell Ed?
Yes.
Well, I know we could go on and on and on. I'll leave you with one last question before we get out of here. Jim, you have lots of big fans out here. Can I please, all capital letters, get a photo with you at some point in time?
All you have to do is ask.
That's kind of what we do. His name's Gregory Peck.
Oh, I thought it was you.
Well, I'd like a photo as well.
No, I'm just kidding. So Gregory Peck's
Peck's on board. Yeah.
Where is he?
You look good, Gregory. Gosh,
I'm going to tell you something.
He
looks very good for a dead guy. I'm telling you.
That's what I'm trying to say here. I tell you what, hang tight, Gregory. Everybody in the room, do me a favor. This man generously gave his time to come out and have some fun with us today, and sit through my questions and here with us.
Thank you.
Stafford, folks.
Thank you all. Thank you very, very much. Boy, I'm thrilled to be here with you, and especially with all this incredible country talent.
And do not miss if you saw a show last night, you're in for a real treat tonight. Of course, you have Alabama. And if you saw Alabama last night, you're in for a real treat. You have Mr. Jim Stafford. Whatever you do, my friends, get out there and enjoy your day. Again, I'm your cruise host, Jason. Thanks for joining us for All Access Pass. Have a great time. We'll see you out and about.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.